Every great board game leaves you with more than just a score, it leaves you with a feeling. Satisfaction when your plan finally pays off, immersion when the game world sucks you in, triumph when you finally overcome the odds. In this video, we're going to be peeling back the layers of those feelings because beneath the wood, the cardboard, and the dice is an engine designed to spark some of these feelings. From the satisfaction of a hard-fought challenge to the curiosity and discovery prevalent in exploration and legacy games. We'll take a look at solo and multiplayer perspectives, so stick around. I'd really like to hear what game resonates with you and why. Immersion is when the table disappears. It's the moment you stop seeing cardboard and start feeling like you're really there. Gathering evidence, interrogating suspects, wandering across a mythic landscape, or creeping through a starship where every step could be your last. At its core, immersion is about story and presence. It's not just flavor text or pretty art. It's when mechanics, theme, and narrative align so cleanly that your decisions feel like real actions in another world. And in solo gaming, immersion can be even stronger. With no table talk to distract you, it's just you and the story unfolding.
Puny God.
Take Chronicles of Crime, where the fusion of physical cards and a digital app transforms the experience into a genuine act of detective work. You're an active participant in the story. Scanning QR codes to question a suspect or examine a piece of evidence feels less like a game action and more like you're working on a real case. The result is a highly thematic experience where you are fully immersed in solving the case, blurring the line between player and investigator. Immersion can also come from world building. For me, Trudvang Legends nailed this with its visible world map. You just don't read about the land, you see it. The territories, the cities, the mountains. Your miniature isn't just a token on the board, it serves as an anchor in a vast living world. Then, as you read a story passage, it hits differently. The world is already visually established, and now your decisions shape the landscape. That sense of scale pulled me in completely, because the game convinced me the world was bigger than me. Or take Nemesis. The simple act of rolling a die to determine how quietly you moved makes you feel like you're actually the character sneaking through a dark spaceship, where every step and breath must be accounted for. That roll isn't just numbers, it's suspense, it's story. It pulls you so deeply into the moment that you feel both the immersion of being there and the tension of not knowing what comes next. And when immersion and tension collide like that, a game doesn't just pull you in, it grabs you by the throat. And that level of immersion connects us emotionally. It's that feeling that you're right there on that spaceship or of being a detective. It's why some games stick with you for years, not because of the score you got, but because of the world you lived in for a few hours. When mechanics and story fuse seamlessly, you're not just playing a game, you're living it. Author Raph Koster, lead designer of Ultima Online, creative director of Star Wars Galaxies, and writer of A Theory of Fun for Game Design, once said, "Fun is just another word for learning." Immersion works the same way. When you forget you're playing a game, it's because the system is teaching you how to live in its world, and your brain believes it. That's the power of immersion. It's not just decoration, it's the glue that binds mechanics and theme into experience. Immersion transforms cardboard into worlds and turns actions into stories. It makes you forget you're following rules, because you feel like you're living the moment. And in solo gaming especially, immersion can be the difference between just passing time and feeling like you've gone on a full adventure. Tension is the knife's edge of board gaming. It's the breath you hold before flipping the next card, that pit in your stomach when you know one more bad roll could end it all. At its core, tension is uncertainty. It's the sense that outcome is still in play and your choices matter more because of it. In solo gaming, tension is magnified because there's no one else to blame if things go wrong and no one else to bail you out. Every flip of a card, every decision, it's on you. Think of Arkham Horror, the card game. Every Mythos phase brings with it an encounter card. Sometimes it's a nuisance you can shrug off. Other times, it's the exact treachery that unravels your entire plan. That feeling as you reach to reveal the card and wait to see what it brings is tension at its finest. It's the game pointing a gun at you, and you don't know if the chamber is empty or not. Or take Dice Throne. You're holding the dice knowing you need exactly a 3 to finish your enemy. Because if you fail, their next attack will wipe you out. That roll isn't just luck, it's life or death. And sometimes, tension isn't hidden at all. It's a countdown staring you in the face. In Proving Grounds, you race against the real-time timer, rolling dice and making snap decisions before the clock runs out. The urgency forces you to think faster than you'd like, and mistakes happen. But that's the point. The pressure is in the experience. What's fascinating is that tension doesn't always come from combat or conflict. Sometimes, it's the quiet pressure of optimization. Like in A Feast for Odin, where every uncovered space or unfed worker nags at you, demanding to be dealt with. It's not enemies at the gate, but a subtler, grinding form of tension. And that's why tension is essential. Without tension, you're just moving pieces. With it, every move feels like it matters. That's when a game stops being a puzzle and starts being an experience. Satisfaction in board gaming isn't simple. It's not just about winning, it's about the little victories along the way. The sense of progress, outsmarting the game, and even the struggle that makes every win meaningful. At its core, satisfaction in gaming is about payoff. It's the feeling that your choices mattered and that the effort you put in was rewarded. Sometimes it's the immediate gratification of pulling off a clever combo. Other times, it's the slower burn, watching your plan unfold across turns until it finally comes to fruition. A game is satisfying when it affirms your investment, turning actions into progress and progress into a sense of accomplishment. And sometimes it's not even about the win, it's about the fight. In Friday, or Slay the Spire, the odds are stacked against you, and every round feels like a scrap for survival. Each small step forward, thinning your deck, scraping through a tough hand, adding that 4-strength weapon, or surviving one more turn, delivers its own sense of reward. Or in Halls of Hagra, there's satisfaction in seeing that missed token you deliberately worked into the bag 3 turns ago finally pay off. It's a small victory, but it feels earned. Proof that foresight matters, and a quiet reward that keeps you leaning in turn after turn. Satisfaction also comes from efficiency. In games like Res Arcana or Paladins of the West Kingdom, it's not just about what you do, it's about how well you use every resource, every action, every slot on your board. It's that feeling when you wring the absolute most out of your turn. And sometimes, the most interesting games tempt you into being inefficient, giving up short-term gains for long-term rewards. Like in Shadow Kingdoms of Valeria, when you head to the Tactic Shrine because you need that 6-strength die, even though your reserve is already jammed with battle plans. It feels wasteful in the moment, but that pivot sets up the kind of raid that makes you feel like the gamble was worth it. Then there's mastery. Think of the rush in an engine builder like terraforming Mars when your machine finally clicks. Resources cascading, actions chaining, everything snapping into place because you started laying the foundations 7 turns ago. That's satisfaction at its peak. The slow burn of foresight paying off. In solo play especially, mastery is magnified. It's just you and the system. And when the gears finally lock, every success traces back to your choices. It's about finding those small, precise moves that catapult into big payoffs. The little insights that make you smile because you earned that victory. Satisfaction isn't just personal, it's social too. Even in solo play, there's a sense of connection when you share a high score. Post about finally beating Escape from Dol Guldur true solo, or watch someone else's strategy click in a playthrough. At the table with others, satisfaction shows up in recognition. The groan when your clever move lands, the nod when a risky strategy pays off, or in Pandemic through the use of event cards where everyone contributed to curing a disease. Those reactions validate your choices and give the payoff extra weight. Sometimes the memory of those shared affirmations is more satisfying than the win itself. That's why satisfaction is so rich. It's a mix of challenge, efficiency, mastery, and connection. The best games don't just let you win, they let you feel the journey. And that's what keeps us coming back to the table. What makes a gaming experience unforgettable? I believe it stems from the feelings that the games give us. And if you're enjoying this exploration, go ahead and consider giving a like and subscribe. This way, it lets me know you're ready for the next video in the series where I discuss some of the mental challenges that games can give us. Surprising board games is that sudden jolt you didn't see coming. The hidden twist, the moment that makes you laugh or gasp, or an unexpected event card that raises your eyebrow. It's not just randomness. It's the game catching you off guard in a way that feels fun, not cruel. At its core, surprise is about the unexpected, the system breaking its own rhythm to reveal something new. Delight is what happens when that surprise lands in your favor, sparking joy or even wonder. It's different from tension, which is about uncertainty and a fear of what's coming next. Surprise and delight are about the release, the sudden wow moment that makes the table light up and gives the game a lasting memory. Think of Betrayal at House on the Hill. One moment you're exploring a spooky mansion together, and the next, the haunt is revealed, flipping the entire game on its head. That twist is pure surprise, and for the player who suddenly becomes the villain, delight if they enjoy causing chaos. Even smaller moments carry the same energy. Pulling the perfect animal in Ark Nova that fits perfectly in your zoo just when you needed it feels like the universe winked at you. These aren't just mechanics firing, they're jolts of surprise paired with the rush of delight. Moments that players will retell long after the game ends. Surprise and delight add color to the emotional palette of board gaming. They're the spark that turns a clever design into a memorable experience. Too much predictability can make a game feel dry, but the right surprise, paired with that burst of delight, keeps you leaning forward, excited for what's coming next. That's the power of surprise and delight. They create stories worth sharing, laughter worth remembering, and those you won't believe what happened moments that bring a game to life.
No way!
Surprise doesn't always arrive with wide eyes and cheers. It can even show up tied to another emotion like relief. Think of Clank. You're at 1 health. You've added so many cubes to the bag that you're sure you're a goner. The dragon attacks, the bag rattles, and somehow none of your cubes come out. You're both relieved and surprised simultaneously. Curiosity and discovery in board games are about the unknown. The itch to turn over the next card, explore the next tile, or see what lies beyond a sealed envelope. It's the pull of possibility, the sense that the game still has secrets to show you. At its core, curiosity is about the question. What's out there? What happens next? What haven't I seen yet? Discovery is the answer. The thrill of revealing something new, whether it's a fresh mechanic, a hidden path, or a story twist. Together they create forward momentum. You don't just play to win, you play to see. In the seventh continent, curiosity drives you forward across a sprawling map, never sure what the next tile flip brings. In Sleeping Gods, every choice to sail east or west holds the promise of new lands and stories. And in role-player adventures, curiosity keeps you turning pages. Each new space holds a passage, a challenge, or a twist you can't resist uncovering. Some games bottle discovery into deliberate surprises. In legacy games like Charterstone, discovery isn't just surprise, it's ceremony. Peeling a sticker or cracking open a sealed box feels like the game inviting you to step through a mysterious door. In Oathsworn, the next boss lurks unseen until you set it on the table, and the real thrill is uncovering how it fights and what unexpected twist it brings to the battle. These aren't just mechanics, they're gifts the game doles out, rewarding curiosity with discovery and keeping you eager for what's around the corner. Designer Rob Daviau, pioneer of the legacy genre, describes legacy play as a conversation with the players. The game responds to your actions and changes because of the choices you've made. That's why opening a sealed box feels less like a rule and more like a confirmation of your journey. Discovery doesn't always mean physical components. Sometimes it's the aha moment when a strategy finally clicks, or when a game teaches you a system piece by piece. Spirit Island rewards discovery through mastery. The more you play, the more you uncover layers of depth in the spirits and their combos. That feeling of, I didn't see this before, is its own kind of wonder. And in solo gaming, curiosity takes on a sharper edge. Without other players pushing the pace, you're the one who decides when to peek, when to wait, and when to flip that next card or tile. The moment of reveal belongs entirely to you. In Tales from the Red Dragon Inn, though the map stretches out in front of you, literally on a poster, the path is linear, the doors are visible, you know where you're going, but you don't know what waits behind each threshold. Trap, treasure, or something nastier. That uncertainty turns even a predetermined route into a series of personal reveals. Discovery feels sharper because you control the timing of each reveal, and in solo play, that timing, and the surprise it carries, is yours alone. That's the power of curiosity and discovery. They keep us coming back not just to win, but to see. Every reveal, a new card, a fresh map tile, an unexpected rule twist, fuels the sense that there's always more to uncover. It's why we open the box again. Not to repeat the same motions, but to chase that next hidden layer the game has yet to show us. Humor in board games isn't about comedy routines or punchlines. It's the unexpected laughter that bubbles up from a card effect, a clumsy mistake, or the absurdity of the situation the game creates. It's the chuckle you didn't plan for, but the game handed to you anyway. At its core, humor is about breaking the seriousness of play. Games are systems of rules and structure, but when those systems bend into something silly, surprising, or absurd, laughter sneaks in. And it's not just funny text on a card. Humor can come from timing, irony, or even sheer ridiculousness. Sometimes humor is born from mischief. Think of Munchkin, when you gleefully backstab a friend. Or Sheriff of Nottingham, when your sweet, innocent grandmother has actually been lying to you the whole game and using you as a mule to smuggle her contraband. Other times, games make us laugh because of how absurd they are. In Galaxy Trucker, you spend several minutes frantically building a spaceship only to watch it fall apart in spectacular fashion during flight. In the Quacks of Quedlinburg, you stack the odds in your favor. There's only one cherry bomb in your bag that can ruin your potion. Out of 12 tokens, you reach in, optimistic, and of course, you pull that one. Your potion explodes, your plan collapses, and all you can do is laugh. These moments land like slapstick. The banana peel you didn't see until you were already slipping. Cruel in timing, but hilarious in hindsight. Humor tends to really thrive at a table where it multiplies. The simplest clue in a game like Just One can send everyone into hysterics. Or watching the heroic zombie-slaying dog Sparky save the day in dead of winter by driving a semi-truck while simultaneously firing a grenade launcher. These are the kinds of look-around-the-table moments that stick. Stories you'll retell long after the game is over. And humor isn't limited to group play. Even in solo play, you might laugh out loud at the audacity of a card flip or the irony of a perfect strategy collapsing. That moment is a private, personal chuckle, but it's still a part of the fun. Because whether you're alone or with others, humor turns cardboard into comedy. That's the magic of humor in games. It doesn't just lighten the mood, it makes memories. You'll forget the final score, but you'll remember the time you built the ultimate spaceship with triple lasers and extra cargo bays, only to realize at launch that you forgot engines. Humor is what transforms competition into camaraderie, and even in solo play, it turns your perfect plan into a punchline.
Are you kidding me?
Triumph in board games is that surge of victory. The fist pump, the grin, the yes you can't keep inside. Catharsis is its emotional cousin, the release after pressure, the deep breath when the storm finally breaks. Together they turn a good ending into a long-term memory. At their core, Triumph is about achievement and Catharsis is about release. Triumph comes when you win against the odds, when the plan works, when the boss finally falls. Catharsis arrives even when you lose, when the tension drains and you feel cleansed by the struggle. Both are about closure. They give meaning to the effort that came before. Think of Robinson Crusoe, where survival feels impossible for most of the game. But if you scrape through to the end, that victory feels euphoric. Not because you coasted, but because you clawed your way there. Or in Final Girl, when you land the final blow on a killer who seemed unstoppable. Triumph hits like lightning. Catharsis is often quieter, but just as powerful. In this war of mine, even surviving to the end can feel heavy. The relief is real. The pressure evaporates, replaced with reflection. In The Lord of the Rings, the card game, defeat can bring catharsis too. When you're deep into a long quest and your threat creeps higher and higher until you know there's no turning back. There's a strange satisfaction in the story ending with that inevitability. Sometimes the release isn't joy, it's acceptance. Triumph and catharsis aren't just solo emotions. At the table, triumph is the cheer when your group finally topples the Guardian in Thunderstone Quest, or the smug grin after pulling off a triple territory takeover in Scythe. Catharsis is the collective exhale after a grueling Gloomhaven scenario, win or lose, that sense of release when the tension finally breaks. These shared highs and sighs are what linger long after the score is tallied. They're the moments you'll recall in conversation years later, with a smile and a simple thought. I miss those days. In solo play, triumph feels sharper because it's yours alone. You don't share the win, you own it. And catharsis cuts deeper because there's no one to diffuse it. The weight of every choice and every roll sits squarely on you, making the release even more personal. Think of Mage Knight, hours into the journey, your deck honed with care, every follower wounded, every skill exhausted, and at last, the second city falls. The board is strewn with the evidence of your struggle, wounds, spent mana, burnt relics, and in that moment, the release is pure catharsis. No one else will ever fully understand it, but you will. That's the power of solo triumph. Intimate, unshared, and unforgettable. That's why triumph and catharsis matter. They're the punctuation marks at the end of the story, the exclamation point or the ellipsis. They turn tension into satisfaction, struggle into memory, and effort into meaning. Win or lose, they're what make us close the box and think, that was worth it. We all have multiple memories, but there are always a few that stand out. For me, one of those experiences was we had a whole group get together and we ended up playing the Resistance Avalon, which is a fantastic game, by the way. I ended up being Merlin, and if you're unfamiliar with the game, everybody gets dealt a card and they end up becoming that role for the game. Let's just break it down into good versus evil for simplicity's sake. I was Merlin, I was on the good team, and I get to know everyone on the evil team except for one person who has the role of Mordred. Anyway, each round, we as a group decide on who we want to send on a quest. It's either going to be 2 or 3 people out of the 8 we have, and we have a discussion and figure out who we want to go. Now, whoever gets sent on the quest secretly pushes a card to the face down to the middle of the table. They get shuffled up so nobody knows where, who gave what card, and then all the cards are revealed. If all the cards are successes, the quest succeeds, and if the good team gets 3 quests to succeed, they win the game. If any of the cards are a fail, the quest fails, and one of the ways the evil team can win is if they get 3 quests to fail. So long story short, I end up pushing for her to be in the final round. She ends up being Mordred, putting the fail card in there, and we end up losing that game. But we had a blast, and we wanted to play immediately again. So we played another round right away, and I ended up being Merlin, which is a 1 in 8 chance. It happens. But she ended up being Mordred again 2 games in a row, which is kind of what sticks out here for me. And there's no way that she could be Mordred again, right? So I pushed for her again for the final one, and she ends up failing the mission, and we end up losing the game again. So I end up being permabanned from being Merlin ever again in that game. And that is a memorable game that sticks out for me. A little bit of a feeling of gullibility and disbelief, really, from that happening. Anyway, I'd like to know in the comments some memorable feelings that games have given you. So this video focused on feelings. The next video is going to be more of the cognitive processes, like tactical versus strategical, deduction and logic, pattern recognition, risk versus reward, optimization, things like that you'll recognize from games. I just want to bring it to the forefront so you're like, oh, you know what? That is what I really like about that game, and start to bring it to people's attention so that you can start to find your favorite games a little bit easier and not just break it down into something as simple as deck building or worker placement or the mechanics of the game. I'm going to get a little bit deeper and talk about some other things. The third video in the series is going to be more about design philosophy. That will have things like progression in games. Do you like enjoying leveling up in games? That's something, you know, that might get you discovery, exploration, the narrative depth of the games, time pressure, games that have the time pressure on you that you can feel. Those type of things that will just make you aware and, you know, a little more keen on what it is you really enjoy about games. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the content, give it a like, share it. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, especially if you want to check out the next videos in the series. I appreciate your time. Thank you. I will catch you next video.